The brother leader of the revolution presents to African intellectuals his strategic vision of an African cultural revolution to preserve the African identity, its historical roots, and age-old cultural heritage. February 1st, 2005. Greetings to my dear brother Abdallah Wade and the members of his government present in this hall. I salute the Senegalese people, one by one, men and women, and the African nation on this day through Sister Senegal. Thank you, Mr. President, dear brother, for your kind words in opening this meeting, and the kind words you have just said now. I salute our brother, President Alpha Konate, Chairman of the African Union Commission, and would like to thank him for the words he addressed to me in this opening statement the other day. I would also like to thank all the African leaders who attended the opening session, although they are not present today. Finally, I would like to salute my brothers, the African intellectuals, and thank them most warmly. I am very happy and proud that they are present and have responded to the invitation addressed to them by our brother Abdallah Wade, who is indeed a teacher and intellectual, a revolutionary, and leader of the popular opposition, which assumed power in Senegal. He understands intellectuals, their mission, and their role. Hence, I thank him for proposing this idea, which has now been put into effect. I had supported him in Lome when he proposed it, because I knew it was a useful idea proposed by President Abdallah Wade, someone who is committed to Africa, a scholar of history and an intellectual. I say this because culture is the problem of the third world. It is uncultured rulers who are the main cause of the lagging development, advancement, progress, democracy, and stability in the third world. Culture is very important for leadership. In fact, I am extremely impressed with this idea, this presence, and this attendance. At the same time, I appreciate this gathering all the more as those in attendance have come from the remote corners of the earth, which makes me ever so proud of the African intellectual. This is evidence of the patriotism of these diaspora intellectuals, who are scattered all over the continents of the world outside the motherland, Africa, yet they are connected to the motherland and here today for its sake. They are seeking to unite their continent and motherland and help it to move forward in this age, as it has lagged a lot because of external factors. This gives me the confidence that the African, no matter how far removed from his country, is always attached to it. I am sorry I was not able to attend for reasons well known to my brother, President Abdallah Wade, although I would have liked to be with you. However, through this intervention, I would like to present some brief theses without going into details. I would like to propose them to you for inclusion in your program. Of course, I welcome you in our country, Libya, at any time and in any capacity, whether through your representatives or by your own attendance. I feel that Africa is getting united now and seeking its place under the sun among the nations. It is a well-known tragedy that it was demoned, enslaved, and treated brutally by the racist, white Westerners. First, we faced the problem while building the African Union. I would like the intellectuals to solve the problem of language in Africa now, which is a serious, difficult, and basic problem. We use two languages, an official language and a popular language. The official language is that of colonialism, English, French, and Portuguese, and the popular language is the unofficial language we speak, which comprises all the African dialects that amount to 800 to 1,000 dialects. The official language we speak is written and has an alphabet, while the authentic popular African language is not written. One of the dilemmas we are facing is that the popular African language, the language of the ancestors, is not written and lacks an alphabet. This is a problem that we have to solve, but not by using the Latin alphabet and incorporating it into the African language, for it will corrupt it and most be ruled out as of now. All of the non-Latin languages which have used the Latin alphabet have corrupted both it and the language, as the language was no longer capable and could not conform to that alphabet, as we have seen in the Turkish language in some of the states that adopted the Latin alphabet, such as Russia and other countries. However, the Chinese, Japanese, and Arabic characters fully conform to the meaning of the language. If we were to write Arabic using the Latin alphabet, the meaning would be utterly lost, which is why we must rule out the Latin alphabet completely. However, we must think of our mother tongue, which is the responsibility of African intellectuals at home and abroad, in the diaspora and in the motherland. On the one hand, how do we make African languages written languages, and how do we unite them on the other hand? We cannot speak 800 or 1,000 languages. How can we teach them to our children? I believe that you should solve this problem by choosing 3 or 4 dominant languages to be taught in all African schools and be mandatory even for states themselves. This is what Africans want, and in this way, no ruler or government can shirk this decision. Language is important because we can only relate to our African religions, culture, heritage, arts, music, and folklore through the languages of the ancestors. If we lose these languages, we lose our link with our past, our history, and our roots. I hope you will be able to solve this dilemma. Naturally, there are proposals for some leaders who advocate the adoption of Swahili, Arabic, Hausa, and Amharic, 3 or 4 languages, and making them mandatory in Africa, while continuing to teach the spoken languages so that they can be spoken in the family and on the popular level. It is imperative that this dilemma be solved, and I hope that you will accord it with your full attention, because otherwise we will lose our past and be suspended in the air without roots. The second thing is the African religion. It is a shame that it is said that Africa only got to know God after Western colonialism, after adopting Christianity. This is shameful and a major historical fallacy, and you as intellectuals know this. How can it be that Africa only got to know God after the Berlin Conference in 1884? Africa had known God before Berlin was even built and before Europe was inhabited. Africa knew God. I did a study of African theology and African religions and found out that African religions, contrary to what is said about them, are not pagan. These are monotheistic religions like the religion of Abraham, peace be upon him, with whom religion began and was concluded with Muhammad, the last of the prophets. African religions are monotheistic religions. I drew a comparison between the Quran and African religions and discovered that they are monotheistic religions and are consistent with Islam to a great extent. I found the glorious names God cited in the Quran and African religions. In Islam, among the glorious names of God are the One, the Lord of Majesty, the Dependable, the Creator, the Bestower, the Possessor, the Lord of Heavens, the Supreme, the Immortal, and the Originator. These are among the glorious names of God cited in the Quran, which I found completely consistent with African religions when, in the language of the Yoruba in Nigeria in West Africa, they speak of Old Mary. It means the One, the Lord of Majesty, the Eternal, and the Dependable. These words, the One, the Lord of Majesty, the Eternal, and the Dependable, are cited in the Quran as attributes of God. Aris, in Yoruba, means the sole source of existence, which is the same meaning as the first creator, or Jobi in Tumboka. In Malawi means the bestower, as in the Quran. When they say Kajenjo in Uganda, it means the Lord of the universe, as God is referred to in the Roshabora Fuz in Burundi means the Lord, as in the Quranic verse, Lord of the Day of Judgment. It is you whom we worship and ask for succor. Also, when the Lu tribes in Kenya say Nyakalaja, it means the immortal. Wak in Ethiopia means the Lord of heaven. Susa in Zala in Ethiopia means the Lord of the universe. And Lafi in Mindi in Sierra Leone means the supreme creator. We will not review all the 99 glorious names of God, all of which are to be found in the African religions, this insofar as language is concerned. As far as the African religion is concerned, we must go back to our African religion. Now they say it is the religion of the jungles. So is it. We are also in need of a cultural revolution that restores our languages and these monotheistic religions. I know whereof I speak. I am a believer and I am a Muslim, and I know that the return to the African religions is a return to the pure religion which is free of idolatry. It is the same that they are telling us now. You only got to know God after Western colonialism. It was us who introduced you to God, Christianity, and religion. Now, having addressed African language and religion, we come to other things that are not comparable morally, but are nevertheless important.